So I'll continue today's class. Right. Okay, so today we'll go to the next problem. Okay, right. Okay, a prime mover running at 240 RPM, okay, drives a DC generator by a belt drive, right? So the prime mover is going to be the driving end, and it is going to drive the generator to produce the power. So the generator end is going to be the driven end. The diameter of the pulley on the output shaft of the prime mover is 1600 mm, okay, and 1600 mm, and just a second, yeah, 1600 mm, and that of this generator shaft is 800 mm. So this is the pulley of the prime mover, nothing but the one which drives the DC generator, and this is the diameter of the pulley or the shaft at the generator end. Determine the speed of the generator in the following cases. Now they have given three conditions. Let us see one by one. First, neglecting the thickness of the belt. Okay, in any of the previous problems, we have not considered the thickness of the belt at all. We have only considered the speed of the pulley and the diameter of the pulley, right, for calculation. We have not considered thickness of the belt. Okay, then second condition, considering belt thickness as 6 mm. If the belt thickness is 6 mm, what is going to happen, right, is what we have to find out. Next, the third condition is considering the thickness of the belt with a slip of 3%. Okay, now slip is also going to come into picture. I told you in the theory class that when we have the proper tension is not going to be maintained, then there's going to be a slip between the pulley and the belt. So how many rotations the pulley is going to make, the belt is not going to adhere to it, right? And last one, we have to find out the velocity of the belt considering the thickness. Okay, belt thickness. Okay, so we'll see this. So first we'll write out the data. So N1 at the driver end 240 RPM, which is already given in the question over here. Okay, D1 is also given. Diameter of the driving pulley 1600 RPM, and then N2 we have to find the speed of the generator shaft. So N2 the driven end we don't know, so it is a question mark. And then diameter of the shaft at the driven end is 800 mm, which is given in the question. Now we'll solve for each one of these conditions one by one. So first thing is with neglecting the belt thickness. Okay, so when we do the belt thickness, so here N2 by N1 is equal to D1 by D2, our usual formula. We have to find out N2, which is not known, right? N1 is 240 RPM, then D1 is 1600 mm, and here it is going to be 800 mm is what is given. So thereby by calculation we'll get 480 RPM is what is going to happen. Okay, that is going to be the speed of the shaft at the generator or the driven end. Okay, in this case. Next, now considering the belt thickness. Okay, now considering the belt thickness. Okay, we shall see what to do. Okay, now how to do that. Okay, when thickness is T is equal thickness of the belt denoted by small t. Here in this case it is equal to 6 mm. So we'll go to the same formula, bring it over here. N2 by N1 is equal to D1 plus, see there is no thickness considered at all over here. So here we will consider the thickness also plus T, right? So and plus diameter on the driven end D2 plus above that belt is also going to travel, so T. So if I take one pulley, okay, and this is the belt. So belt has got some thickness, right? So in this case it is 6 mm. So it is like this. So this is diameter D2 plus this 6 mm, right? So that is what we are going to do over here. So then calculate over here. Okay, so same thing, 240 is the N1 value, 1600 plus 6 mm. So make sure that both these units are in mm. Okay, don't make a mistake over here. Then here it is going to be 800 plus 6 mm. When we solve it, we'll get some value with respect to this 478.2 RPM probably. Okay, right. So this is how we are going to consider the belt thickness and find out the RPM or diameter velocity ratio basically. Now we'll go to the third condition, is about the considering the belt thickness and slip percentage is 3%. So 3% it is, that is if the pulley makes 100 rotations, okay, belt is not going to go for 100 times, it is going to go for less than that, 3% less than that, okay, right? So we'll see that how to do that. So here, okay, so when we consider along with the slip, what we can do is same formula, because we have to find out what is the rotation speed, okay, what is the RPM when there is 3% slip, okay, plus thickness of the belt. So N2 by N1, same starting line, is equal to D1 plus T, because thickness they are telling, considering belt thickness. So D1 plus T divided by D2 plus T into, when it comes to slip, okay, so we have to multiply here by 100 minus S, nothing but, this S is nothing but percentage of slip. Slip is always given in percentage. Okay, that is the standard method of defining the slip. So it will be given in 3% divided by 100. Okay, so now if we start substituting the values, so N1 we know, which is 240, D1 1600, D2 6 mm, sorry, T is 6 mm, D2 is 800 mm, T is again 6 mm, and into the slip percentage 100, because it is in percentage. Okay, we have to put it in normal numbers, only numerical values. So 100 minus 3, that is means 97 divided by 100, because it is in percentage. Okay, right? Now substituting these values, and if we calculate, we'll get 463.8 RPM, rotations per minute. Okay, right? So this is how we are going to calculate, considering the belt thickness plus percentage of slip. Okay, now let me come to these there. Now we have solved for the three conditions. Now let us see what is happening. I'll just show you one observation that we have to make. Okay, now without considering the belt thickness, the RPM at the generator is 480. Okay, now once the thickness of the belt is been considered, another 6 mm has been added up. So the speed is going to reduce to 478. So it is very simple thing. If we have a pulley, and if I don't consider belt thickness, I get 480. Now suppose I consider such a big belt thickness, what will happen? It will become very difficult for this belt to bend, right? So the speed will gradually go down. So that is what is happening over here, right? 478 is less than 480, right? Now along with this, if there is slip, there is no proper grip over here in this region, then it is not going to efficiently transfer the power. Okay, so the speed should reduce less than this. So we'll see that now. So 478, considering belt thickness and with slip, okay, 463, so it is much more reduced, right? Okay, so this is the observation. This is the difference if we have slip. Next is about considering velocity of the belt drive, considering the belt thickness. So same, only one small change, just add the thickness with the diameter. So pi d n, so here with d value will be d1 plus t. Okay, so pi into 1600 plus 6 mm into 10 to the power of minus 3. That means we are keeping all these terms in meters. Okay, and 240 rotations per minute. Okay, and divided by 60. Now look here, if we divide it by 60, this is actually in meters. This is rotations per minute. Okay, rotations per minute. So when we just calculate only the numerator, we'll get a value whose unit will be meters per minute. Now if we divide this by 60, because this is in minutes, if we divide it by 60, we'll get it in seconds, right? So we divide this answer by 60, we'll get it in meters per second. That is what is indicated over here. Okay, right? Okay, so yes, we shall go to the next problem. Okay. So yes, the sum of diameters of two pulleys is 1000 mm, and the pulleys are connected by a belt drive. The pulleys rotate at 600 rpm and 1800 rpm respectively. Determine the diameter of each pulley and the length of the belt drive in case of the belt drive system. Take the center distance between the two pulleys to be as 5 meters. Right? Okay. So here Now, as one of the problems that we have solved in the previous class, sum of the diameters is d1 plus d2, which is 1000 mm. Okay, rotations at driven end is 600, at the driving end is 600, driven end is 1800 rpm. Okay, so now here, yes, we know how to find out this by using the velocity ratio, right? So velocity ratio n2 by n1 is equal to d1 by d2. So we know these two values. So d1 by d2 is going to be 3 times, okay, right? That means d1 is equal to 3 times the d2 value, right? So thereby now we can find out how much is d1 and d2, right? Which is going to be solving in equation 1 and 2 over here. So you have to go step by step. Okay, so if you substitute over here, okay, so d1 is equal to 3 times d2. Okay, yes, and now if you substitute over here, okay, so just like this. So what have we got? 1800, 600 is equal to d1 is how much? 3 times d2. So 3 times d2 and d2 over here, right? So it will be 1800 times d2. Okay, yes, okay, both are same, sorry, right? So through this we can find out here. Yes, so we are going to get d1 is going to be 750 mm, okay, and d2 is going to be 250 mm, right? Okay, now what they are given is we have to find out the length of the belt drive. Okay, they have not mentioned what is the type of the belt drive, whether it's going to be open belt drive or closed belt drive. So in that case, you find out both the cases. Okay, for length of the belt drive, okay, we'll keep for open belt drive L open. Okay, we know the formula which we have done in the previous class. We have solved the derivation. Okay, so 2 times the center distance plus pi into R1 plus R2, which is radius of driving pulley and radius of driven pulley, plus R1 minus R2 the whole square divided by C. Okay, so this C stands for center distance, the distance between the two shafts. Okay, now substituting the values here, 2 into C is 5 meters. So 5 pi, right? Radius of the pulley, right? So here we have got this d1, okay, and d2. So take the radius of this. So you'll get 0.375 plus 0.125 respectively for R1 and R2. Substitute similarly over here, and length of the belt required for this setup will be 11.58 meters. So this should be the length of the belt if we have two shafts at a distance of 5 meters and for this respective radius or diameter values. Okay, and if it is going to be an open belt drive. So next we shall see length of the belt for the same setup if it is going to right? Yeah. Sorry, there was some disturbance. Okay, some network problem. Okay, so we'll continue. Yes. So length of the cross belt drive, we'll mention it as L cross for our identification purpose. 2 times C plus pi into R1 plus R2 plus R1 plus R2 the whole square divided by C. Okay, right. So now once when we substitute over here, okay, the same values, we will get 11.62 meters as the answer. Now if you look at this, 11.58 for open belt drive, 11.62. So for open belt drive, we generally require a little bit more longer belt for the same distance. Okay, the length of the belt will be little bit higher, okay, or little bit longer, right? Okay. Yes, so we'll go to another type of problem. Okay, yes, so the next problem is that in a cross belt drive, the difference in tensions between the tight side and the slack side is 1000 Newton. If the angle of contact is 160 degrees and coefficient of friction is 0.3, find the tension in the tight side of the belt. So in one of the classes, we have done the ratio of tensions for a belt drive. Okay, right? So what they have given over here, the difference between the tight side and the slack side. Okay, so T1 is here and T2 is here, right? So difference between these two, T1 and T2, is 1000 newtons, and the angle of contact, okay, the angle of contact, this theta degrees, is 160 degrees over here, and coefficient of the belt with the pulley that is on this particular surface, coefficient of friction is 0.3, right? Now we have to find out what is the value of T1 and T2 respectively. Okay, so T1 minus T2 is equal to 1000 Newton. This is given the data, and then theta, angle of contact, is 160 degrees. But when we want to find out ratio of tensions, or when you are going for this to find the tension in the belt, this angle of contact should be in radians. So multiply by this in by pi by 180, so that we can convert degrees into radians. So we get 2.79 radians, and then coefficient of friction mu is equal to 0.3. The data is given, right? So now, so T1 minus T2 is this. Okay, so ratio of tensions in the belt, we know the formula, T1 by T2 is equal to e to the power of mu theta, right? This we have done in one of the previous classes. This derivation we have done. Okay, right? So theta we know, mu value we know, right? So substituting these values, we will get 2.3. Okay, and we convert this into the natural logarithm values. So we get ultimately 2.3, okay, which is equal to T1 by T2. That means we are getting 2.3 is equal to T1 by T2. So T1 is equal to 2.3 times T2. That is what is written over here. Okay, now once we get this particular equation, okay, substitute this over here. So T1 can be replaced by 2.3 times into T2. So when we put that, 2.3 times T2 minus T2 is equal to 1000. Okay, and find out the value of T2. Now, when we resolve this equation, T2 is going to be 769.2 newtons. That is the value of T2. Now, T1 minus T2 is 1000. In that, T2 is 769. So when we subtract it, 1000. Okay, well, sorry, T1 minus T2. So here, okay, T1 minus is 1000. So T2 is 769.2 is equal to 1000. Okay, T1 we have here. Okay, so with this, when we take it up, T1 is going to be 1000 plus 769.2, right? So thereby T1 is going to be 1769.2, right? This is how we solve this problem. So we'll go to one more problem which is a little bit different. Okay, so here in a belt drive, the ratio of tensions is 2 and T2 is 500 newtons. If the speed and diameter of the driven pulley are 200 rpm and 120 mm respectively, find the power transmitted. So what is the power transmitted? We have to find in this case. So what have they given? The data that they have given is ratio of tension T1 by T2 is equal to 2. So we'll write that first. T2 value is 500. This data is also given, right? So thereby, if you know T2 is 500, then T1 is equal to 2 times T2, which is nothing but 1000 Newton. So now we know T1 value And we also know T2 value, which is already given in the questions as 500 newtons, right? So what do they want? We have to find the power transmitted. Okay, we'll come to that. Now, next for that, we should know at what rate the belt is also traveling. So we have to find velocity of the belt. So V is equal to pi dn, right? So pi d, any of the diameter, either you take here we know only one of the diameter, so 120, we don't know the other end. So we'll take up this itself. It's in mm, so convert it into meters. So 120 into 10 power minus 3. And what is the speed of it? The driven pulley having 120 mm diameter and 200 rpm. So the speed of it is 200 rpm, rotations per minute. So when we solve this, we'll get it in 753.6 meters per minute, because here we have rotations per minute. Okay, right. All right. So next, what we can do is, we know now T1 minus T2. So what is the difference? T1 minus T2, 1000 minus 500, which we already know T1 value and T2 value. So the difference in this is nothing but 500 newtons. Now coming to the question that they have asked, power transmitted. So power transmitted, power is given by P is equal to T1 minus T2 into velocity of the belt, okay, right, divided by, we are going to use 60 if the velocity of the belt is meters per minute, otherwise no, right? And we are going to divide it by 1000 if we want the unit, the answer that we obtain to be in kilowatts. If we don't divide it by 1000, we'll get it only in watts. Okay, so 500, T1 minus T2 is 500. Velocity of the belt is 750.6 meters per minute divided by 60 into 1000. So we'll get 6.28 kilowatts, the power transmitted by the belt drive. Right, so this is how we are going to find the power transmitted for a particular belt drive system. Yeah, so here we have solved almost all the different types of problems. Okay, so these are the set of problems that we, different types of problems that we have for the your subject as per the syllabus. Okay. So now next, let's go to the next thing, which is called as the gear drives. Okay, so what is this gear drive? So as I've already mentioned in the previous class, power can be transmitted, okay, through various means. One is by using belt drives, the other one is by using gear drives. Belt drives are usually meant to transfer power when the shafts are far away, okay, and when the shafts are very close, okay, for about very small distances, and we want to transfer power from one shaft to another shaft, belt drive is not a suitable option. Gear drives is possible, right? Gear drives is what is going to be used. Okay, so gears are nothing but, in this case, gear is a mechanical element having a teeth, okay, on its periphery. Okay, gear drives are used to transmit power for short distances. Okay, right? So yes, so this is, and of course we can vary the speed of we can increase the velocity ratio, right, just like belt drives. Okay, so just to say in general, a gear drive will have a circumference, that is a circular periphery with teeth placed on it. Okay, it's not the exact diagram actually. So actually speaking, I'll just take only one arc of the gear drive. So this is how the teeth will be on the gear drive with distance. So between the two teeth, there's a gap so that the gear from the other shaft will mesh exactly in this location, right? So if we have a gear over here and gear on the other end, if this gear is going to rotate like this, then this gear is going to rotate in the opposite direction. Okay, because of the teeth that is going to hold each other by a firm grip. Okay, so we have, in this case, we have different types of gears. Okay, the first thing is a spur gear. Okay, the first thing is a spur gear. Okay, so first of all, okay, so we have one gear that is being shown up over here, and another gear over here, where these two teeth are going to mesh over here in this region, right? And there's a shaft, driver shaft, and the driven shaft, where on each of the shaft one gear is fixed. So now when we look from this particular direction, so how does it appear? We can see the length of the shaft. This is the shaft, and we can see the diameter of the gear. This is for the driving gear, driver gear. Okay, and when we look over here, we can see how the teeth is. So the teeth is going to be parallel to each other. Okay, or parallel to the axis of the shaft. Now we have axis of the shaft over here. The teeth is also arranged parallel to the axis of the shaft or the center of the gear. So in this particular case, this type of arrangement is called as a spur gear. Okay, that is what is mentioned. The teeth is parallel to the axis. So similarly, the other gear should also be of the same type only. So this is the shaft on the driven end. This is the axis of the driven shaft. Here we have the next gear which is meshing up over here with the driving gear. Okay, and this teeth is also going to be parallel to the axis of the shaft. So only if the teeth is going to be parallel, then it is called as a spur gear. Okay. So it is the simplest and most common type of gears. Okay, and spur gears are generally used for rotatory motion between parallel shafts. So we can use gears where we have the two shafts will be parallel to each other, right? And yes, so the thing is that it is little bit noisy. It makes little noise when it is going to be run at high speeds. Okay, and this is generally used in many of the machine tools, automobile gearboxes also, especially the watches. Okay, nowadays we have the electronic watches which runs on battery. The mechanical watches which upon giving the key, okay, the spring is being tightened and the gears will oscillate, is going to rotate the shaft, and the needles, that is the second, the minute, and the hourly representing needles are going to move. Okay, so for this mechanical linkages, the gears used in watches are made up of spur gears. Okay. Okay, yes. So there is another type of gear. Okay, so which is called as the helical gear. Okay, in a helical gear, what is going to happen? We'll see that. So yes, so looking from the side, once again, there is a driver and driven gear, both of them going to mesh each other. Okay, one gear on each of the shaft. So if this gear rotates like this in clockwise direction, this gear is going to rotate in the opposite direction. Right. Now when you look from this particular end, how does this helical gear look like? So we have the shaft. We can now see the shaft over here, looking from the other view, and this is the driven shaft. So this is the gear for the driver gear. Now look at this teeth. The teeth is going to be at a particular angle with respect to the axis of the shaft. Okay, it is going to be at a particular angle with respect to the axis of the shaft. So thereby we are going to have 1 second, just a second. Okay, so let's continue. So here, now if you look at this, the teeth is going to be at an angle with respect to the axis of the shaft. So in this case, these types of gears are called helical gears. Okay, yes. So this is also used basically to connect the parallel shafts only. Okay, but they have a better grip. First thing. Okay, the contact between the meshing gas that is in this particular location is going to be point to point. And the next thing is that it is not going to make too much of noise. It has got very smooth operation. So this is generally preferred at high speeds. Okay, and this is also used in the gearboxes of our two-wheeler vehicles, right? Okay, and even in cars, any type of vehicles for power transmission, these gears are going to be used. Not spur gears are generally not preferred because the power transmission has to be at higher rate. Okay, right? Okay, so we'll stop here for today.